Hello and welcome to another video here on Close to the Edge. Today I'm going to do a ranking of all the albums, 13 studio albums of the great, excuse me, King Crimson. Formed in 1969, Robert Fripp formed the band in 1969, where of course he had the brilliant Greg Lake on vocals. And they've been on and off out through their career, really. Kind of split up after 74, came back in the 80s, I think they had one album in the 90s and two in the early 2000s. Anyway, brilliant, amazing band. And they have no bad albums, so none of these albums are bad. It's just very hard, very hard to rank these albums, but it's my preference, really. Now, I have 10 of them on physical media. The other 3, I have them on digital media, so I won't have anything to show for those. But I'll talk through it anyway. But anyway, let's get on with the ranking. And as someone said to me on one of my Deep Purple videos, I do a bit of waffling. What harm? I can waffle all I want. But anyway, here we go. My number 13 is Lizard, released in 1970. I always find this album still is an excellent album. I give this an 8.5 out of 10. But I think this is my least favourite because it's very jazz orientated, very experimental. But still an excellent album. You have John Anderson on part 1 of the second side of The Lizard. And so, so it's really an 8.5 out of 10. So it's a very good to excellent album. My number 12 is In the Wake of Poseidon. It's the second album following In the Court of. And again, I give this another 8.5 out of 10. It's an excellent album. I love cat food on it. I think it's very quirky. And it's Greg Lake's last album before he went on to front the great Emerson, Lake and Palmer. But this was also released in 1970. And it's an excellent album. But anyway, that's my number 12. My number 11 is this one, Tree of a Perfect Pair. And this was released, 1984. And I remember when I heard these albums back in the 80s, I thought they were a little bit too polished, if I'm being truthful. But still, as time has gone and they've grown on me, I give this a 9 out of 10. This is an excellent, really excellent. Like, they were the only ones really doing proper prog in the 80s. Maybe Eli. Maybe so on. We don't know what Gentle Giant would have done if they had to stick around. And Genesis had gone completely. Yes, we're kind of iffy. But anyway, that's my number 11. My number 10 is Beat. This was released, I have a look here, 1982. 1982. This, the follow-up to Discipline. This is another 9 out of 10. This is an absolutely fabulous album. And I like this album a lot. He brought in Adrian Belew on guitars and vocals, and of course, did a small stint with Talking Heads, and of course, played with the genius Frank Zappa. So, anyway, that's that one. The next one is the first one they came back with, is Discipline, and in 1980, I believe it was 1981, and this was absolutely superb when it came out. I love Elephant Talk on this. It's absolutely brilliant. Like, there were no one else really doing this kind of prog in the 80s, and this is a 9 out of 10. Like, all these albums are very high ranked. So that's Discipline. Next one, we go all the way back to 1971. I have this on cassette, believe it or not. It's Islands. A lot of people don't like this, but I give this a 9 out of 10. This is a brilliant album. Brilliant album. And as you can see, the old cassette. I know they're ancient nowadays, but there you go. And on this, you have Fermenting Lady, Sailor's Tale, The Letters. I love Ladies of the Road. I think it's absolutely superb. And of course, this is the last album that Peter Sinfield wrote the lyrics. Prelude and Islands. Of course, Peter Sinfield went on to write lyrics for Emerson, Lake and Palmer on Greg Lake's part on Works Volume 1. But that's Islands. Absolutely brilliant album. 9 out of 10. Next one now is 2000. This is Construction. A lot of people don't really like this album. This is another 9 out of 10. I love this album. I think this is absolutely fabulous. I think the track, the construction of light is brilliant. A lot of people don't like Prozac Blues. I like it. You have Lark's Tongue Aspect Part 4, which is unbelievable musicianship on this album. And of course you have Adrian Belew on this, Robert Fripp, Trey Gunn and Pat Mastorella. I not think I'm pronouncing that correctly, but that's how I pronounce it. But this, I love this album. This is a 9.5 out of 10. It's that good. I love this album. Absolutely brilliant. The next one is another one that I actually don't have on physical media. It's the one that released in the 90s, track in 1995. And I think this is unbelievable. It's the last album with Bill Bruford on it. And it's absolutely amazing. Like nobody. I don't believe many were doing what they were doing in the mid-90s. I know Yes kind of came back a little bit in the late 90s, starting to do a bit more prog. But track, absolutely superb. 9.5 out of 10 as well. Now, all the rest of my ranking, I tell you how many more I have to do. I have another 5 to do. So my number 5, and it's a 10 out of 10, is their last studio album, released in 2003, The Power to Believe. Now this is just unbelievable, because you have one of the ultimate prog songs of all, Level 5. Like, that would blow your boat, wouldn't it? It blows my boat. Probably blows a bit more than my boat. But anyway, that is an amazing album. My mate Kevin, I remember he was living in Australia at the time and told me that I was talking to him. I didn't know they had an album. He said, go and listen to The Power to Believe. And I did. And it blew me away. I went out and bought it, and it's the one I bought. Absolutely stunning album. Another 10 out of 10 is Red. Some people say this is the classic lineup. Obviously Robert Fripp, Bill Bruford, who came over from Yes. So this is just unbelievable, Red. The track entitled Red is absolutely classic. Absolutely classic track. And I just love this album. Now I believe there's a anniversary edition coming out in October, which I'll be getting. This is just the normal CD, and the writing on it is so bloody small at the back I can't read that writing. But this is a 10 out of 10 album, and this is the last album of the 70s before they came back with Discipline. My number 3, and this could be a lot of people's number 1, but it's a toss-up really between all these albums. Really, they're just all unbelievable. Is Lark's Tongue in Aspect, released in 73. And this is like, as I said, we had, and John Wetton, of course. I forgot John Wetton. What a bass player! Played with many groups. Even played with Wishbone Ash. Like, this had the Lark's Tongue Aspect. This was the start of Part 1. Book of Saturday, Exiles, Easy Money, The Talking Drum, and then of course one of the ultimate tracks, Lark's Tongue and Aspect Part 2. Talking about blowing your boat, my good God, what a prog album. Unbelievable. Many people's number 1. These last, they all can be my number 1. Unbelievable. Now, it was very difficult between the next 2 who was going to be number 1. But I'll go with Starless and Bible Black. This is the anniversary edition on CD and DVD. This is just unbelievable. I love when it starts off with the great receiver. The Great Deceiver. Imagine the Great Receiver. Lament, we let you know, the Night Watch. Starless and Bible Black and Fracture. Like, this is unbelievable. The 5.1 mix on this is actually unbelievable. This was, of course, the classic lineup, and it's just unbelievable. They made 3 albums in a row, and they're all just classics, pure prog classics. But my number 1, and has always been my number 1, is their first album. It's their debut album, in the Court of the Crimson King. Now, a lot of people think just because there's one track on this called Moonchild that kind of, excuse me, stops it from being a masterpiece. It is a masterpiece. The whole 21st century Skitside, man. Good fuck. I'll say it again. Good fuck. That, what was it? Proto metal, thrash metal. When it starts off, it's just unbelievable. I Talk to the Wind is a beautiful track. An epitaph. And Greg Lake's vocals on this is just unbelievable. One of the greatest in the prog world. I think he's probably the greatest vocalist from any prog group. He was just the ultimate. Of course, you had Mulch, and then you had In the Court of the Crimson King. And the lyrics on this are superb by Peter Sinfield. They're absolutely unbelievable. So that's my number one King Crimson album. And I hope you enjoyed this ranking. I hope I didn't waffle on or whatever too long. And hopefully you will subscribe. And if you like it, like it. And my subscription rate is going, but whatever. Blah, blah, blah. But anyway, please do subscribe. If you watch it, subscribe. It just takes a second. An absolute second it takes. But I'm really enjoying doing these videos, and hopefully I'll do another one very soon. I'm trying to get out 2 a week roughly, with a bit of time, work commitments and all that kind of stuff. And I'll probably do another ranking next, but I might do a bit of different stuff going forward about albums from different groups, and groups that I only have a couple of albums from. I might just see what they're like. But anyway, thank you very much for watching. I really do appreciate it. And hopefully I will see you very soon. And whatever you're doing, have a nice day. Bye bye.